If I was starting to collect sports cards again, how would I do it? How would I want to make money? Well, there's a couple different ways. I would first start with cards that you might already have in your home. Go through your old boxes, see what you have. That's what I did. I had got a box of my old cards. I'm sorry, some binders of old cards, took them in, and I had some cards that were worth a good amount of money. It was definitely a good chunk. So you might go back and look for the cards that you already have. Always look up to see what the cards are selling for on eBay. There's a lot of grimy people in the sports card world where they will rip you off really, really bad. So look up to make sure. I know when I went to this card show, there was a guy there and he literally tried to buy some rare Kobe insert that I had for $10. The card was worth about 500 bucks and he was offering me 10. When I told him, let me look at it, let me think about it, he wanted me to do a deal right then and there. He was very pushy. That's when I know, okay, this card is probably worth a lot more than the $10 he's claiming it's worth. And when I called him out, he tried to pretend like he didn't know. Obviously, he knew the card was worth a lot because he wanted it. And there's plenty of people that will rip you off. So always do your homework. You know what you can do? Go ahead, get your phone, take a picture of that card, and look it up on eBay. You can literally go to Google, where Google allows you to snap a photo, screenshot it, but it's not hard. Look the card up online, see what it's going for. You might have something that's worth a lot of money that you don't think is. So do your homework. When I went to this card place, there was a red card in the binder that I had that belonged to my younger brother. And it was of a player named Nick Anderson. Now that card was what you call a PMG, precious metal gem. They're very rare cards. Even though that card was just of an average player, wasn't a star, right? That card was still worth more than all the other cards I had. Why? Because that card is what made it valuable, the rarity. Now, obviously, if you've got the right player and the right card, the card becomes worth so much more. But in this particular case, it was simply just the card of itself that made it valuable because they're so rare. The card had, the edges were kind of messed up. From what I remember, there was parts of it peeling, but the card was still worth a lot just because of the nature of it being a precious metal gem card. So that brings me to my other point. Even though having something as a PSA increases the value of your card a lot, you kind of run a risk. Well, why would you say that? I'll explain why. Let's say you have some cards that are older and you send them into PSA to get graded, and they come back with anything 8 or less. Depending on the card, they usually lose a lot of value. Now, if you've got something like a Jordan rookie or something from 40, 50 years ago, even a low grade is still worth a lot. But let me give you some examples. I was looking online, and let's say there's certain cards that are in the PSA 10, that card might be worth, $1,000. But that card in a version 9 might shoot down to 150, 200. A version 8 of that card might be 60 bucks. So it jumps significantly. And then you have to submit the card to PSA. You've got to wait so much time. And if you're trying to do it as a business where you want to make money right away, it may not be the best. So that's kind of the downside with that. Now, there are different companies that do the grading. As you can see here, I have a PSA. But if you give me a quick sec, I'm going to go ahead and show you all, while I'm showing you that there, I'm going to show you all another company's card. So this one is from a company called SGC. And so this is another company that does the grading as well. But the issue with these other companies is if your goal is to get as much money as you can, you're not going to get as much money if it is not a PSA. PSA is kind of recognized as the leader. And from what I saw, I did some research on ChatGPT. It was something along the lines of a PSA 10 is anywhere from like 10 up to maybe 30% more than a PSA 10 from another company. So that's a big difference. So let's say this Patrick Mahomes card is 200 bucks. If this was a PSA 10, well, you just add 30%, this would be a $260 card from PSA. And so that is a significant increase in the card, right? Just because of the company. So this one, again, is called SGC. And then this one here is called PSA. PSA, SGC, those are the differences of the cards, okay? But what I would do, I would try to find people online who are selling their cards in bulk. So that's kind of what happened here. I had bought some different cards in bulk, and I had bought a big box of cards from a guy for just $8. And when I was pulling cards out, I had pulled out a card that's probably worth anywhere from $50 to $100 for that one card. So right off the back now, if I were to sell just that one card, let's say I get even 40 bucks, I only spent 8. I've made 5 times, more than 5 times. I'm sorry, 8 times 5 is, ooh, my math is bad. You get the point. I've made a significant increase than what I spent. So what I would do is find people selling their lots, 1,000 cards for 30 bucks. To me, it's worth the risk, especially if they haven't gone through it and ripped out all the good cards. Because if you get out of 1,000 cards and you even just have one good card worth 50, 60 bucks, you've made all your money back. And if you can sell the rest of them for, 5 for a buck or whatever to a card shop, you'll make all your money back. And there are card shops who will buy these $3, $4 cards for $1 because they can sell them for, $3, $4, $5 themselves. And places that need a lot of inventory because they're constantly running through cards, these are the kinds of places you want to work with where, hey, we'll buy those $3 cards you have for $1 each, and they'll give you 50 bucks for all those cards because maybe, again, you got the whole box for 20 bucks and those are just throw-ins. Plus you get that one or two more valuable cards. It can definitely be worth it. What I would also do too, I would start calling the local card shops. Build trust with the local card shop dealer, someone you really like. And don't let it bother you that they're going to give you 70%. They have to make money too. But why do I like someone buying from a card shop versus an individual? Individuals may flake, they may not want to do it, but a card shop is going to likely need the inventory, right? They're going to need new product in there, especially if they're in a populated area like I'm in Los Angeles. So the value for them may be there in buying a bunch of these cards for $1 because if they can flip them for $4 or $5, they've got so many people coming in, it's a quick flip. When you're dealing with individuals, they might only want to buy cards that are high end because for them to sell a bunch of cards for $2, $3 is not worth it for them. Whereas for a card shop where they've got the space and the location where people come in and buy, it is worth it for them. So for my lower end cards, I would try to build my connection with a card shop. If you want to make more money, then you can obviously sell your bigger cards on places like eBay, Whatnot, maybe put on OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, and you can sell those cards online. But as far as those, let's say $1 to $10 cards, finding a good local card shop you can work with may be worth it because again, it's worth it for them to buy bulk like that, whereas an individual may not want to spend $50 on a bunch of $1 cards because they're not going to have an easy time reselling it, okay? So those are some other pieces of advice I'd have. Then what I would also say too, if you're going to get into cards, is know your market. So here we have, this is a New York Yankees card. If I'm in New York, anything with the Yankees is probably going to be a bigger sale. So if I've got some really valuable Yankee cards and I know I've got a trip to New York, those are the cards I want to take to the local card shops or shows there because I know I'm going to have an easier time selling there than if I'm here in like Los Angeles. But if I'm in an area like LA, for example, then I would want to be focused on someone like a Mike Trout, an Ohtani, cards that fit the local teams here, the Lakers, right? Because these are the cards that people are probably going to be familiar with because it is in their city. So if you're in New York, sell to the New York market. If you're in Los Angeles, sell to the Los Angeles market. Now, there are some cards that are valuable just because of the players. And like I said, there are some cards that are extremely valuable because the cards themselves are really rare. So you want to look for those rarity of cards. Like I said earlier, I had went to the card shop. There was a card of a basketball player named Grant Hill. And these cards were called Row Zeros on the back. It was special inserts. And they were worth significantly more than the regular ones. So I now, when I see cards that say Row Zero, and I see someone selling it for $5, I know I can probably get 20 bucks. Maybe I'm not making thousands, but I'm getting the understanding of what cards are valuable, and I'm not just basing it off players. Because when you player chase, you fall into the trap where you're chasing everything everyone else wants, right? Everyone wants Kobe's and Jordans, yeah, because they're popular. But what about, that regular guy, but he's on a really rare card? That card makes the card valuable, not just the player. And like I said, if you've got both, then you're double winning. But you may not have all the money to chase these high-end cards, but if you can find these lesser popular players on rare cards, there's still money to be made there. Remember, there's enough of a market for everyone. You don't need that $1 million card. You can get those cards for 20 bucks that you know you can flip for 60, 70. Hey, that is great profit. Go outside and try to find $40 on the floor. Let me know how hard it is. So there's all sorts of ways to make it. Don't limit yourself to only chasing certain popular players. Okay? And those are some of my tips. Like I said, I would suggest buying bulk lots from people who are selling cards. Look up the cards you already have. Do not go into a card place without knowing at least an idea of what the card is worth on eBay, because people will rip you off. They will cheat you huge. I'm all for everyone making profit, but like this guy offering me $10 for a card that was 500 bucks is just insane. And he full well knew, whoa, but I didn't know what the card was worth until someone had showed me, hey, this is how you look it up. I was like, wow, that is a huge, huge difference in cost. So there's all sorts of ways to make money in the card world. Have fun with it, enjoy it. And my last tip would be, you're not going to make money, very unlikely, buying a bunch of box cards from the card shop for, $50. The boxes are very expensive. And gambling, thinking you're gonna get some rare insert card that you can then sell. We're all gonna pull that one or two good cards sometimes, but if that's your business model, I'm gonna go in and spend $30 on a box where there's 20 cards and I hope I have one good card so that I can flip it, that is not a good business model. That's just pure gambling to me. You're better off buying large lots from people who've got cards packed away, and hey, there's gonna be a couple cards in there, $50, $60, and maybe you're spending 20, 30, or you spend 100, but there's 3,000 cards, then hey, there's gonna be at least $400 or $500 worth of cards. That to me is the much more logical way to do it if you're trying to make money. If you just like opening packs because you enjoy it, that's one thing. But as a business model, to me, that's a horrible, horrible idea. And like I said, again, know your market and know when to buy and not to buy. For example, the New York Knicks just won their NBA championship. If I want to sell a Knick card and make a lot of money, now's the time to do it, because they're going to be popular for the next so many months until the NBA season starts. But if there's guys in the NBA who I think are going to do good, like I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to get traded, more than likely, now's the time to start buying his cards. Because if he gets traded to Miami or something happens and his card value just goes up 30, 40%, especially if he goes to a big market team, well, now his cards are going to be worth a lot of money. So now's the time to look into buying those cards before the big event happens, before the big trade happens. And you want to sell your cards in the midst of something. So if I've got a certain player and that player is in the playoffs or a championship, or they're going far with their team in whatever sport it is, you want to sell that card during that time, because that's the peak of when it is. That's not the time to buy, because you're going to spend the most during that time. You sell during that time. You buy during the off season. You sell when they're in the midst of whatever it is they're accomplishing. So, hey, those are my opinions. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Let me know too, what is your most valuable card and why? I'd love to know. And I'd look to see you all soon. Thank you so much.